anyways, to put this in terms perhaps that are easier to understand for the women that come in here, true, perhaps there is a degree of frustration that I feel about the fact that the scope of my personal power over situations like this is so incredibly narrow, and I am not really personally empowered to make the kind of impact that I would like to make. And inside the feminist imagination, quite often, is this vision of men as having, an extreme degree of privilege and power and ability to do just about anything we set out to do, and yet this is not actually the case. You know, the fact that there's a group of predatory men who are engaged in this behavior is something, like I may be able to do something about if somebody gives me jury duty, and the state requests that I show up, like the scope of personal power that I have to actually put and lock the predators up is so incredibly narrow. And yet some women, when they say things like until it's no men, it's all men, whether they're saying it or not, are implicitly putting pressure on us to do something about the fact that these men are loose in the world and, engaged in the behaviors that they are. Whether you want to think of it that way or not, that's the kind of power that making those kinds of statements is going to have, because we're tired of it. We don't want to be lumped in with this shit. We're embarrassed and horrified by the fact that we live in a world where women have to be terrified of us in the first place and have to be so fucking scared of us. Like I'm not happy about that at all. I'm not fucking happy about the fact that I wake up every day to an aching, broken world where, women have to live in mortal terror of us, and that, they are literally scared that we will rape and kill them. Because, these are things that I would not do myself, and behaviors that I would not engage in myself. And I fully understand that you're not allowed to engage in non-consensual sex even if you're fucking married to somebody. I get the frustration. I've been frustrated myself. I'm not happy about any of this stuff. I'm humiliated, to a huge extent, that I live in, this kind of reality in this world where, it's so soul crushing towards the opposite sex, and that women, constantly are looking behind them every time, a man happens to walk behind them, because he may try to overtake her and rape her. Like, this is not the kind of world that I want to be living in, and the kind of world that I want women to be stuck in. And despite the fact that I'm complaining about the fact that this is unpleasant for me, I can't even imagine what it must be like for them. And I'm so sorry that you live in that kind of world, and the fact that this kind of shit is happening at all. But the you have to understand that there's a difference between a frustrated ally and somebody that's actively enabling the creepoids. Because I'm just I'm just trying to testify that I feel so incredibly frustrated and powerless in situations like this when this kind of thing happens and comes out, because I'm not able to have the kind of reach and breadth of personal power and triumph over the wickedness that I would like to be able to have in our society. The scope of my power is so incredibly narrow, and yet their expectations are so high to do something about it. You know, that's all.